Okay, so get ready for this. Imagine waking up every day, right? But you're in an alien body, like permanently. That's what we're diving into today.
Mm.
How would it actually feel to live in a body that's just not your own?
Sounds wild.
It is. And our source material takes it there, big time. It's a sci-fi piece that puts us right into the head of this character, Second Lieutenant Sinistra. And just a heads up, this isn't your typical spaceships and laser beams kind of story. We're talking about what happens when sci-fi gets real, when it makes you question stuff like, what does it even mean to be comfortable in your own skin? Which most of us take for granted. Exactly. So we're joining Sinistra on this, well, it seems like a pretty crucial day, the day of something called, get this, the acceleration. No idea what that is yet. But before we even get there, the story throws us for a loop. This is a high-ranking officer responsible for thousands of lives, yet she dreads something I bet we've all felt at some point looking in the mirror.
And that's where this author, they just nail it. It's like they take this ordinary, everyday anxiety and just crank it up to a whole other level. I mean, Sinistra's not just having a bad hair day here. She's dealing with the reality of existing in this hyacinth creature body, which the author describes as all these awkward limbs, floppy arms, claws that don't even work, and these piercing blue eyes that just sound unsettling.
It's vivid, for sure.
It really makes you think, right? Like in the future, if we can modify our bodies, maybe even inhabit artificial ones, what happens to our self-image then? What's considered normal when you can basically change anything?
It's a good question. And I was struck by that detail about Sinistra putting on her uniform, like super meticulously. She's so aware of how she looks, especially around her superior.
Oh, absolutely.
Like this disconnect. She's proud of her position, but then there's this deep unease about the body itself.
Totally. It shows you how much our sense of self is tied to two things, right? How we feel on the inside, but also how we're perceived from the outside. Imagine trying to project authority and command respect when you're constantly feeling so self-conscious. Sinistra isn't just dealing with an alien appearance, she's grappling with, like, the core of her identity. And that's something that resonates even today, don't you think?
So we've got Sinistra dealing with all this, right? These very personal insecurities, but she's also living in this incredibly complex society. And it's all happening on this massive spaceship, the Herculaneum. So help us picture it. What's it like on this ship?
Okay, so imagine like a sprawling city, bustling with activity, but all contained inside this huge starship hull. And what I think is so cool is that the author doesn't sugarcoat it. It's not all shiny and futuristic. They describe the constant hum of the engines, the smell of metal, and, even sweat. Just this sense of like a lot of people crammed into this metal world.
It does make it feel real, those
Yeah,
details.
totally. It feels lived in. A little rougher on the edge, which is actually what makes it more believable than those like perfectly sterile spaceships you sometimes see in sci-fi. Like think about it, the wear and tear, the constant maintenance to keep a vessel that size going in space. It makes you wonder about the resources needed, the infrastructure to sustain life on that scale out there in the vastness of space.
It's a good point. And speaking of life on the Herculaneum, well, we see Sinistra interacting with some of the crew, and you get these glimpses of the social dynamics at play. There's this tension with First Lieutenant Flavia, who seems to, like, relish any chance to undermine Sinistra.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
then there's Private Volso, this Marine who's assigned to escort her. And I feel like there's a real sense of concern from Sinistra towards him, especially when she learns about those volcanic eruptions back on their home planet.
It's interesting, right? Because these small moments, these little interactions, they actually tell us so much about this whole society. With Flavia, you see the power dynamics, how prejudice might still exist even in this, futuristic setting. And then with Volso, there's this shared humanity. It reminds us that even when you're dealing with these extraordinary circumstances, those basic human fears and anxieties, especially about loved ones, they don't just disappear.
No, they don't. And hanging over all of this is this ominous event, the acceleration. We know it's a big deal. Everyone's on edge, but we don't know what S exactly. Any clues in the source material about what this acceleration might actually involve?
There are definitely hints. Yeah, it's clearly this massive, maybe even dangerous event. And this feeling, this constant anticipation and tension that the author builds, it's a lot like how we deal with uncertainty in our own lives, whether it's, a deadline at work or some big life decision, that not knowing, that waiting for something to happen. It's something we can all relate to, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But
And in this case, it makes you think, what could be so big that it would cause this kind of reaction on a ship that's presumably already moving through space,
Oh,
right? There's
yeah.
a physical acceleration,
Yeah.
something technological, or something else entirely. It's definitely intriguing.
Mm,
It's weird, right? We've only seen this tiny slice of Sinister's life, like just this one morning,
mm.
but it feels like it's opened up all these other questions, you know? Like, what is this acceleration actually going to be like? And what happened back on their home planet? Did something go wrong?
Right.
And then there's Sinistra herself. Like, what keeps her going in this strange new existence? It makes you think.
See, this is what good science fiction does. It throws you into this whole other world, gets you thinking about these big, complex ideas, but through the eyes of someone just trying to get through their day.
And you connect with them,
Yeah.
even though it's this alien situation, you know? There's something so relatable about how much Sinistro just wants to feel like she belongs, to connect with someone. You see it in those little moments with Flavia and Volso.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
trying to figure out her place, not just in this alien body, but in this whole society, hurtling through space.
It's a lot. It really makes you think about how essential that is to us, that need to belong, to feel understood. It doesn't matter if you're dealing with office politics here on Earth or trying to earn respect on a spaceship, light years away. It's still a core part of being human.
Right. It makes you wonder, like, how would I react if I woke up tomorrow and I wasn't in my own body anymore? Could I handle it? It makes you question what it even means to be you.
And that's the power of stories like this, of good sci-fi. It lets us explore these deep questions about who we are, how we adapt, what it really means to be human, but it does it in these imaginative ways. These scenarios that are fantastical, but somehow still feel familiar, like social commentary, but disguised as an adventure.
It's true. We started with Sinistra not even wanting to look in the mirror, and now here we are talking about the future of humanity.
No, right?
It's pretty amazing. This story has left me with this sense of, like, wonder, but also kind of makes you think about your own life, you know? I definitely need to find out what happens next for Sinistra, what this whole acceleration thing means for her and the crew. So for anyone listening, if you're as intrigued as I am, you can find a link to the full story in our show notes.
So definitely check it out.
And for everyone who joined us for this deep dive into, well, the heart of what makes sci-fi so great, thank you. We've got more fascinating topics coming up, so stay tuned. We'll be exploring everything from artificial intelligence, like what if machines become self-aware, to the big mysteries of consciousness itself. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and we'll keep diving deep with you.